Hello, folks. Hello, and welcome to Monday, January 26th. Yeah, 26, 2026. This is the second live stream of the year. Had to miss the last couple of weeks. We'll talk about why. Basically, on family vacation and off doing all kinds of fun and cool stuff. But we're back now, and back from that crazy flu, back to work, back to content, back to the channel, back to the business, back to school for the kids, back home and got everything kind of regular life picking up a whole bunch. I will say the teaser at the beginning here. Yeah, we got robbed. We got robbed while we were gone. I'll talk about that some here. Pretty wild, and yeah, muse on that and kind of catch up on some things. It's been an interesting couple weeks, and curious how everybody's doing. So sound off. Let me know who's out there. Say hello. I already got some comments flowing in. What have you been doing? What's been going on? How you enjoying your winter? Anybody hit by that snowstorm? Are you kind of home theater upgrades and things have you been doing in the last little bit here? So shout outs to some friends. Of course, Julius always first with the hello. Thank you, sir. Srin as well. Thank you. Thank you. Srin. Yeah, this is why we're here, right? I went to the theater this past weekend and I have to say my own home theater is better. It's sad commercial theaters probably are not kept up. The audio is not great, and the movie had black bars. Yeah, you know what? I've already been debating a little bit this year, like what movies are going to get me in the commercial theater. Because there's actually quite a few. There's the Spider-Man. Actually, I don't know. I need to double check. Avengers. There could be some. I'm not sure what DC content is coming out this year. Supergirl, perhaps. That might be more mature to take the whole family, though. The other one that I'm actually kind of excited about, I don't know if anybody saw it, but the trailer for Masters of the Universe came out. And I'm a little reserved about the fact that they are kind of having uh, Adam, He-Man come to Earth in the mixing of Earth and Eternia and stuff like that. Although technically in the lore of He-Man, there is a mixing of Earth and Eternia because Marlena, He-Man's mother, is I think technically like an astronaut. She's an Earthling. That through whatever things finds her way over to Eternia. But like I kind of really want to see that one actually, and that one may get me to the show. Um, but I feel like there's an action packed lineup of movies this year, and it's going to be hard waiting for a lot of them. So we'll kind of see how that goes. See how that goes as the year goes. But hopefully hopefully any of the release windows are pretty small for all that stuff coming out. That was the mistake that I made in 2025. We went and saw, what is it, Fantastic Four, Superman, and Thunderbolts, and I could have watched, I think, every single one of those movies within about 6 weeks or so. It feels like at home on the Kaleidoscape in this room here. So that would have been the better way to go on those. But He-Man, check out the trailer for He-Man if you're in the wheelhouse where Masters of the Universe is something of interest to you. It's definitely of interest to me. Masters of the Universe was like the first toy line that I remember getting into and playing with, and then child of the '80s and on all of that. Turning 50 this year puts me right in the wheelhouse of the '80s. So I was there for He-Man, Star Wars, GI Joe, Transformers, Thundercats, all that stuff. I have my favorites, and I have kind of my spectrum of my favorites. But He-Man was like the original action figures. I had a whole bunch of that stuff, and then somewhere along the line, I kind of transitioned into Star Wars, and my mom was like, we don't need all these toys from two different things, so she sold the He-Man stuff off and made the way over to Star Wars and then on to some other things. But anyway, yeah, as it is. So yeah, so we've been gone. We were gone about a week and a half there. We took a family cruise down to the Caribbean, left out of Miami, flew down to Miami on a Saturday, left for the cruise on a Sunday. It was us, all four of us, my parents, my in-laws, a whole contingent of one of my wife's aunts and her family, kids, grandkid, and some of the other grandparents of the grandkid. So kind of two major like family units going. Um, and then some friends of our family as well, around my parents, actually friends of my parents and one of my aunts. So we had a pretty big group, almost like 20 people. We had some fun. We sailed off from Miami, some sea days, and we had some stops at one of the Royal Caribbean islands where they have like their kind of water park. So we did that thing. Kids had fun on the water slides and all that. Had a little cabana that we kind of staged out of and just enjoyed the water and the ocean. Got kind of the body in the ocean. Felt that nice, awesome warmth and stuff down there. And then was second island was Puerto Rico, San Juan. So we docked in San Juan. We ended up going and doing like this dune buggy thing, which was kind of not exactly what I thought it was. Reading the excursion, I thought we were going to basically do like a side by side buggy tour where we would go out and kind of explore. We'd actually go around the island and we'd see some things, but it ended up being more of like kind of a course almost where there was this kind of like homestead and they had a bunch of different things to do there and they rent this place out and stuff, I guess. And the dune buggies was one of the things, just one of the things that they had there. But it was still fun. We rode around, got pretty muddy. Oh, excuse me, got pretty muddy. I drove one. My daughter was really excited because she's coming close to getting her license, and so she was able to actually drive the dune buggy for a little while. And then the third stop was St. Thomas. So on St. Thomas, we did this like awesome catamaran boat ride, and around not too far from where the ship docked, but around in this bay by there's a university, I think, or some college there. Snorkeled in the water, and the big thing was to go see these sea turtles. And so we actually saw the turtles. My family and I, one of our known modes of operation is we have the worst luck for wildlife. Like if you want to see wildlife on a vacation, don't travel with us because we don't see wildlife. Like we've been weeks in the UP or a week or 2 weeks in the UP and like didn't even Upper Peninsula of Michigan and like don't even see a single deer. Um, but we actually saw the turtles. So there's like 3 and 4 foot turtles just going along the ocean floor there and munching this grass. And they come up kind of right next to you. They tell you not to touch them, and that would be kind of stupid or whatever to do anyway. But you can still kind of get relatively close as long as you're calm and all that stuff. So it's just really like this majestic little snorkeling thing. So there was some manta rays and some other things down there as well. Didn't get bitten by a shark, so I appreciate that very much. I think like just literally a couple weeks ago, there was a story out of was it St. Croix, I think? A lady from Minnesota had got her arm bit off by a shark snorkeling, like just off the beach, and then the emergency response wasn't fast enough, and she ended up dying. So pretty wild. That's not the way that I want to go at all. So happy to not see any wildlife that could have been harmful to us. But we had fun on the ship. We did a lot of the if you cruise Royal Caribbean, I don't know about the other cruise lines, but they have these things they call the flow rider, which is like this wave generating surfing thing, and you can body surf and you can stand up surf. So me and my kids, we kind of had it as our mission to earn the badge. You have to earn the ability to use the stand up board and do the stand up surfing. And none of us got it this time. We actually did a private lesson as well. I was the closest one. I almost got it. Um, but it would have been the final day and stuff. So we're gonna try to find some of those wave surfing things. There's one up in Michigan, I think at the Boyne Water Park. There's one across the bridge in Canada. I think there's one in like Kalahari down in Ohio and whatnot. So before the next time we take a cruise, or at the very beginning of our next cruise, we're gonna maybe do another like surfing lesson. We want to get our stand up boards. Um, I'll go back through the comments here in a minute. I just saw this one pop up. Jack Herbert, welcome. Hey, which Royal Caribbean boat we're on? We were on the Independence. We were on the Independence. So I actually posted. I'd love like someday on like vacation and stuff like that. I'd love for there to be a somebody that watches the channel or community member or whatever, and be able to like meet up, buy them a drink and whatnot. But so we had fun. But the main thing about the vacation was we were traveling with our parents, so we kept everything at a good speed. Enjoyed hanging out with them, dinner every night. Of course, they watched the kids do all the fun things that the kids did, and had a good time because man, cherish the moments. We're not getting any younger, and our parents are not getting any younger. If anything, it seems like every couple of years now, more and more health concerns come up with them as they're getting into their 70s and stuff. So like you never know when the last opportunity, you never know sometimes when the last time you're going to do something with somebody maybe, especially as they're aging and ailing and whatnot. And so um, cherish the opportunities. But we'll see if this. I don't know that this will be the last time. I hope we'll be able to get some more opportunities to do some stuff like this with the parents again, or at least book it out into the future. And if it comes to pass, we'll have it set, something to look forward to. And if it doesn't, well, we'll cross that bridge, I guess, uh, when we get there. But yeah, we had a really great time. So like the cruises, I think this is our sixth cruise altogether, um, something like that, sixth or seventh. We've done a couple carnivals, but I definitely recommend Royal Caribbean. Of the experiences that we've had, limited experiences we've had on cruises, Royal Caribbean has been our preference. So they put on a good show, like a good ship, clean, food is good, um, fun shows every night. They had a couple of comedians, stage shows. There's an ice rink. They did an ice show the one night. So we ate like crazy, man. I went from eating nothing, eating nothing with that flu, and probably dropping 10 pounds to like flipping back 15 pounds and enjoying all the food and stuff on the actual trip. So, but now that we're home, it's back to back to working out. I've hit the tonal almost every day. I think it has been since we've been back. My legs are so sore. I'm like hobbling. I can barely walk. And today's workout in my program was yet another lower body. So tomorrow, man, I'm going to be hobbling as I go back to the office and get back to some of the other parts of life. So that's been going on. Oh, and then after the cruise, actually, because it was actually really expensive for us to fly back on the Sunday, decided, well, let's stay a couple of days. Last year, or at the beginning of last year, we went to the Florida Audio Show, and then we drove over to Orlando and we did Universal. But then in May they opened the Epic Park, so we hadn't been to the Epic Park yet. We did all three of the other parks, so it's like, well, we're there. We'll just stay a couple days. We'll fly back a couple days later. The airfare is a whole lot cheaper. It'll offset some of the cost of sticking around. So we went back to Universal, drove from Miami to Orlando on Sunday, got there kind of like dinner time ish or whatnot. Just hung out at the hotel. We only bought park tickets for one day, so we went to the Epic Park on the Monday, and I really like that Epic Park. So there's a How to Train Your Dragon area. There's a Super Mario World area. There's another Harry Potter zone, and then what they call the Dark Universe, which is basically like Universal Monsters. And they just have this park, like it's so engineered. I think this is like one of the first new theme parks that's been like totally open in a little while. And you can just tell like all of the knowledge and experience about building these things has been put together to put this epic park in and lay it out. You walk in, there's a big water feature in the middle, and it's basically a big circle. Every zone has its like portal. You kind of walk through the portal and then you're in the zone. A lot of the zones are loops as well. So you kind of like just loop your way through the whole thing. In the middle is a big carousel, and there's restaurants and a lot of the food, restrooms. Everything's very easy to get to, see, navigate, and all of that stuff. And just the quality of like how good everything looks just struck me right off the bat. We went in counterclockwise, so we went to the How to Train Your Dragon zone first, and I mean, you feel like you're in the movie. Um, just so much detail, like crazy high mountains and spires, dragons everywhere, and every zone, of course, has some unique stuff. Every zone has some rides. The How to Train Your Dragon zone had a stage show, this like 15-20 minute stage show where like a dragon goes crazy and Hiccup has to kind of settle it down and do his thing. And and then the story, why did the dragon go crazy and whatnot. But man, this little amphitheater was set up like a Viking hall. You go in, you sit down on these benches and stuff. But this little production, like 15 minutes, they spent a ton of money on this thing. There's some dragons in there. The costumes are so good. There's all of this rigging. So Toothless with the guy playing Hiccup, an animatronic Toothless with Hiccup riding him, flies in this mechanism in the ceiling, can move him up and down, side to side, and forward to back. So he's basically literally flying over the audience, and then they land it in like the feet move and he lands like solid flush on the ground. It's blinking, it's smiling, it's moving its head. All through the park, the animatronics are just absolutely insane. And then also too, like the whole backdrop of this thing, I was trying to figure out is like, is this projection? Is it a reverse projection? Or is this like some crazy LED wall? But the graphics and the quality of the imagery for that was making the backdrop and the surround kind of thing, because there's like screens, like it's almost like a surround screen setup. So good. And then the actors are like interacting with the screen. So somebody would have a spear and they would like go to throw it, and they do so good that it would like disappear and then it would be in the video on the stream. or like the thing in the video, the dragon would like swing its tail and then boom, like the structure that the people are standing on collapses, the physical structure, and the people kind of come down. So good. Like they spent so much money on this park. It's pretty insane. There's a cool roller coaster in that zone. So I don't usually ride the rides. I get motion sick really easy, but I did the How to Train Your Dragon coaster and felt pretty good after. It didn't throw me for a loop. It had one kind of big wrap around because it kind of goes and then it comes back. But I was able to maintain a lot of it pretty good. So I had fun with that, and then on to the Harry Potter zone, which we were excited about the Ministry of Magic. I thought the whole zone was a Ministry of Magic. It's not actually. The whole zone is like Fantastic Beasts inspired, and the Ministry of Magic is just a ride kind of in the zone. So it's all Paris. It all looks like Paris. But still pretty cool. They've got stuff going on. You can take your wand and interact with the zones and things. I don't want to dwell on this too long, but I think this is still it's like the park is so techy that I think it fits the bill we're talking about. Um, so they have this tent in the middle, and then there's another stage show there. Same thing, costumes, animatronics, integration between physical things moving and like video display. So good, and like you go in, and it feels like a magical tent because they have this like small tent outside, but then it's kind of it doesn't look like it, but it's connected to the buildings in the back. So as you go into the tent, you're able to like keep entering. You go all the way into this like massive structure. So it feels like again, feels like Harry Potter thing, I think, where they did the big like Quidditch thing where they were in that big field and there's like the little tent and they walk in and it's this whole big massive like Coliseum. So it gives that kind of a vibe. I didn't ride the Ministry of Magic ride. I was afraid that that would make me sick, but still you can walk inside and there's all this cool stuff. It feels like you're there. You actually walk through through the flues and they shoot up smoke and stuff as you come through. Pretty neat. And then we did the Mario Zone. Mario Zone was really cool. I rode the we did there's like a Mario Kart interactive kind of thing, which was fine. It was pretty fun. You shoot coins and it's got like it's an augmented reality type of game essentially. And then there's another roller coaster, like a minecart ride. They call it Donkey Kong kind of thing. I rode that, and I was good with that one as well. Did the Mario Kart thing, but you can run around the zone and like bump boxes and different stuff like that. It's pretty cool. And then the Dark Universe, Universal Monsters, so real spooky. We saved that one for last because we know we would be there after dark, which made a lot of sense. So after dark, the zone is like misty and real, just kind of like eerie and whatnot. There's a roller coaster there, but it has like three modes of spinning. So I'm like, I'm not doing that one. But I did the 4D ride where it's basically like Frankenstein kind of versus Dracula essentially. But again, crazy animatronics and a whole lot of fun. So that was our day. We were there from pretty much open till close and got the most out of it. Cold for a Florida day. We had hoodies and jeans, and we were by the end of the day we were definitely chilled. Not as chilled as we are coming back to Michigan here with sub-zero temperatures and all of that. We got hit by a little bit of that the northern front of that storm that came through yesterday, about 7 inches. But some of my colleagues in Massachusetts were saying that they got like 17, 20 or so inches of snow from the big thing. So we flew back home, fairly uneventful. Travel itself was uneventful, and got back Tuesday night, and then pretty much back to work and back to everything right away, except for the big surprise that awaited us when we came home. But I want to hit some of these comments, and we'll get into that. Let's see. Audio degenerate. Greens from Puerto Rico. Whoa, awesome. Thank you, sir. They're just like I said, just in San Juan. A couple, yeah, a week ago, a week and a half ago. Lost talking about fake $100 bills again. No, so what he's talking about, I got scammed on a Facebook Marketplace deal. I sold an iPad a while back, and I forget what the dollar amount was or something. It was like $800, I think, and they brought me $500 or something like that of fake money and about $300 of real money. And it was nighttime. It was a terrible transaction to begin with. I should have just bowed out of the whole thing. And but no, not scam like that. We had stuff taken or removed from our home. Mike Cobb, hey, welcome, welcome. Some interesting kaleidoscape news today, but I don't know if we'll get into that too much. Maddie Daddy, what's up? What's new? Hello. Julius, haven't been to the theater since 2011. Yeah, that's probably what I actually need to do. Just stay home. Talking about movies and stuff. Fat Cam Hall, cool, cool. I still need to watch Predator: Badlands. We haven't watched a lot of stuff lately. Obviously, been gone. And since we've been back, there's been some other catch up. My daughter's had some work, schoolwork, and things to do. Um, we are watching The Mandalorian. We're still continuing our Star Wars kick, basically. So we're watching The Mandalorian. We finished season 1. We're in partway into season 2, so I'm rewatching stuff. The family hasn't seen the stuff. I've watched them, but I'm rewatching these shows. We wanna get caught up. We'll probably watch the majority of most of the good Star Wars shows, Mandalorian, all the way through, although season 3, of course, has I haven't seen season 3, but it has its detractors for sure. We'll probably redo the Book of Boba Fett. I've done that one, the family hasn't. I've watched Obi-Wan, the family hasn't. I've watched Ahsoka, the family hasn't. So I'm gonna be sitting through a lot of rewatching of Star Wars content coming up, but our goal is to get caught up before the Mandalorian and Grogu movie comes out. Because that's another one. I don't know. Do we go to the show for that? I can see my son really wanting to, or do we just wait a couple of months, 6 weeks or whatever, and watch it at home? We'll see. Um, Flash Gordon, hello. Been enjoying Blu-ray audio, meaning music releases. I think the last several months, lossless Atmos album releases are increasing. Cool. Yeah, a lot of that on Kaleidoscape as well. I don't really get into that too much, but I know there are plenty of folks that do. Maddie's saying, finally got the RSL Speedwoofer 12S after the first, loving it. Cool, cool. I got to save up for the new 75, 77-inch TV. Nice. Um, yeah, so the 9K is still running up there. I've been paying attention to CES, and I think already FOMO and some of the TV guys have gotten the TCL 11Ls in. I didn't. I watched. FOMO had a long video actually where he had the 9K and the 11L next to each other, and I watched it. I played it at some high speed kind of in the background. I didn't pay as much, critical attention to it as I was playing it as I probably should have in order to try to get the camera here, in order to actually use it as, learning information to see if I wanna do an 11L swap, but I'm still a little mixed on if and what, TV move we may do here. I noticed on TCL.com, the 9811L is not available, but the other sizes, the smaller sizes are smaller me, so 85 and 77 or whatever. But the 98 doesn't seem to be available. And I just got the most recent TV price list as well from my distributor, so I can see the current promos and prices for pretty much all the brands. And the 11L is actually not in that list yet. So still debating, but I'm pretty happy. I'm under no rush essentially. Um, if we do an 11L, if we do a G6, whenever it happens, it happens. But that living room is set, loving it. 98-inch size is so good. Um, and I've adapted to enjoying the picture of the 9K. Like I don't think the 9K is a compromise in any way. Yeah, Jack Herbert robbed. Yep, yep, we got robbed. We got robbed. We'll get there. Um, Oh, Sren, I guess it's a good idea to talk about the big news about Sony. Yeah, the television, it's not really an acquisition. It's not even a done deal yet, but the I forget the legalese of kind of what mode they're in, but essentially TCL is looking to acquire um, a minute majority of Sony's television business, which is pretty interesting. It kind of speaks to the fact that like not Tony, Sony's struggling a little bit more, or business conditions are just always tough, and companies are looking for ways to improve their operations, streamline the way that they're doing things, make their operations more efficient, um, and whatnot. So I don't. To me, it doesn't really matter too much to me. It's been a while since I've had a Sony TV, and the Sonys haven't been the most intriguing of the TV brands. Of course, I think TCL has provided more value for the money, and then of course was really happy with the LG OLED as well and its picture quality. So we'll see where that goes, and if I mean it I think there was, like, a lot of videos that came out like, "Oh, this, like, crazy surprise is gonna rock the industry," and whatever. It's like, I mean, we've been watching every once in a while, like, businesses are going to merge and change. Look at how, like, Sound United and, there's always mergers and acquisitions and changes and consolidations and stuff like that in every industry. So, it's just a matter it's not really a matter of, like, if something is gonna happen. It's just a matter of when and then what companies is it going to involve and what's the value benefit, right, to each of them for doing the move and pursuing those relationships and whatnot. Michael saying, "Does the tonal just bolt into studs? That's enough for distance training." Yeah, yeah. Um, they install it like when you buy it. It comes with professional installation and stuff. But yeah, they put it. It has to go into studs. It's a pretty hefty machine, and you're pulling against all of that weight right on the wall. So a couple 100 pounds of functional weight being pulled if you're maxing it out. So it has to be secured very well. Julius, I know you're a Control 4 guy, but have you heard of a good Harmony remote replacement? Yeah, the Unfolded is something I hear a lot about. Sofa Baton. Yeah, Srin said this. Youthman's doing a bunch of remote stuff lately. I've not really gotten into alternative remote stuff. I've had some of those options offered to me or made available to me. It's just like really time consuming to mess around with it, and I don't necessarily need it. So I've kept my focus to spend my time working on other things and elements and research. So I don't really have a good answer to this other than to say like some of those same options are definitely the most talked about ones or the popular ones in the hobby space for some time or at the moment. But yeah, check out Michael's channel, Youthman's channel, because I haven't watched any of his videos on any of that stuff, but just on the other social medias where he was cross promoting, I did see that he seemed like he's kind of doing some head to heads and stuff like that. James Nelson, I7682. First time tuning in and enjoying so far. Thanks, welcome. Thanks and welcome. Always appreciate it. Oh yeah, yeah. He recommended the unfolded Circle 3. Saw his review of the Ava. That required dealer setup, steering away from that need. Yeah, definitely. If you can get one that you can manage yourself, that would be certainly efficient and all that. Mandy did it. Yep, display guy on YouTube. Yeah, a lot of I think a number of the guys are starting to get the 11Ls, and they sent them the 98s as well. Did an unboxing and stuff. So the TV looks great on paper, and from what I recollect or paid attention to from FOMO's stream, yeah, and it seemed like more often than not the 11L was like preferable. It wasn't like blowing the 9K out of the water, but it seemed like it was kind of doing or exhibiting preferable performance um, in general. And one of the other things I think that he commented on is like that the 9K seemed a little restrained, whereas the 11L was more unleashed. And so I wonder if that's something that is like a firmware thing as well. Like why would the 9K be restrained? It's not as bright spec wise on paper as the 11L, but it's still whatever. I think it's like a 6,000 nit TV. Um, for functional use, that's a lot of brightness and all that stuff. Like it's a power management thing or heat thing or something else. I don't know why they would have kind of held it back, but it didn't seem like the 11L was like dunking on the 9K, but it seemed to be an upgrade, and so. So in the yeah, LGG6 looks interesting too. Yeah, I haven't. I watched a little bit of people's hot takes and stuff like that, kind of from CES and the usual content guys talking about the TVs and stuff. But we'll see. I haven't seen any price yet, or I don't know if any price has even been acknowledged or talked about to be or to indicate perhaps where the 97-inch G6 is going to end up. Is it still going to be a $25,000 list price TV? Is it going to be hopefully a significantly cheaper because there's so many other options with at way more incredible values at that size, including the 11L at 10K list price? Or are they going to go nuts and even think or feel that they have to charge more because that's what it actually costs them to get that thing out into the marketplace? Having the price go up would be disappointing for sure. Um, a lot. Having it stay the same, I think, would be pretty disappointing as well. I would hope that it maybe drops to at least under 20K, like 1999, 19,999, yeah, something like that. Um, but we'll see. So I'm waiting for more information, more details, and all that stuff. And I will probably at some point flip to a 2026 model television. It's just a matter of which one and when and whatnot. So the pricing that I was able to get for myself, as a dealer and in like the Black Friday ish time frame, on the 98 QM9K made it pretty easy choice to go ahead, knowing that it would be a shorter it would have a shorter lifespan in our household. Um, yeah, new TCL TVs also have the Penton. Oh, that was another thing. The yeah, so processing always makes a big difference. I think the 11L looked a little snappier and such, and some of the menus and tuning and things like that, in FOMO's video, but I don't think that that would be a reason to buy it or not. Sorry, did you say Kaleidoscape News? So there was a dealer communication today, and so basically, wait, actually, yeah, actually, I can't, and we're not going to talk about this. The only thing that I can say is that there may be some adjustments coming to like promotions and stuff for the quarter. So, eminently. So let's talk about this surprise that we came home to, the main topic. So I've never really had crime perpetrated on me before. My wife had a purse stolen at a wedding quite a while ago, probably a decade ago, actually. Um, and that was kind of a bummer, and, you know, they took a card and they ran some stuff on it, and we got the charges canceled, and, um, it was no big deal in the end, you know, or no major harm done. They took some cash. It was a pain in the butt. We had to get new cards reissued. She had to go get a new license. Um, her phone was in there at the time, so, you know, we lost basically on that. Uh, and so that's really been it, thankfully. I've lived, knock on wood, we've had a good run of, like, um and it wasn't like we were assaulted or anything for the purse. It was with a coat, and it we went to leave, and it wasn't there. So somebody walked in, what it seemed like somebody walked into the hall and wherever the coats were stored and stuff like that, and just kinda took some things and left. Um, but and I wanna be careful about what I say about this because we are kind of in an active, mode of investigation and engagement with the police and stuff about it. I have a number of suspicions and whatnot, but I don't want to get into that. I will make some separate comment content, and we'll see as things further transpire, exactly where this kind of whole thing goes. But long story short, um, my wife, after the ski trip, um, as we were getting ready for the cruise, my wife was trying. She was looking for a necklace, and a certain necklace, a gold chain, pearl thing. I bought this necklace for her, um, for her 18th birthday, actually, and it was like one of the first gifts that I had bought her when we were dating, young kids, and all that stuff. Not super valuable or what anything, but obviously very sentimental. And so she couldn't find it. She was going to take it on the cruise, and that week I was laid out with the flu, and actually my daughter was still sick. My son was showing some symptoms. She was doing everything to keep to keep everybody going and get us ready for the trip. So we kind of didn't really give it much thought that this thing was missing. Um, she had noticed that some things were kind of awry as well around her bathroom area, but it's like, well, you know, our daughter comes in all the time and takes her clothes and stuff like that, and because they're at a point now where like they can do that kind of crossover outfits and things. Um, so we left, and again, didn't give it much thought. Thought maybe she had taken it up north. Maybe we left it at the ski condo or something like that. So we take our cruise, we come back, and then as I was getting Tuesday night, we got back a little bit late, not super late, late into the evening, and we unpacked and did all the kind of initial settling in back home. And then I had some meetings Wednesday morning I had to prepare for, presentation that I was giving at like 9 a.m. And whatnot. So I sat in the office to do some stuff, and I'm looking at, as I was in there, you know, I'm looking around. Of course, if you have seen, um, from prior streams and some of my other social content, of course, my son and I, we've set up the back wall of our office as a bit of a Marvel Comics collection kind of thing. There's comic books, some old original graded comic books. There's our omnibus hardcover collected editions. We've got some art and other things, some Lego stuff hanging on the walls. It's basically it's mine, his. Marvel collection, and so we have 4 shelves of, comic books, or 8 shelves of comic books, 4 on each side of the little window pass-through that we have from the office to the living room, and we have 4 comics on each shelf. We have a 32 comic book collection. There were only 31 books present to begin with because one of the books we had more recently bought, 1940s Captain America book, was off, at, for pressing and cleaning and grading and whatnot. It's actually at CGC right now. Hopefully, we'll get it back here within a couple weeks, but so there were 31 of our 32 books on the wall, and as I looked in the office I was sitting in there, it occurred to me that there were only 3 comic books on each shelf. Um, so obviously, that means there were 7 books missing because 7 books had fo or 7 shelves had 4 books, 1 shelf had 3 books, 7 books missing. And as I was looking at it and it was occurring to me that there was stuff missing, it also occurred to me that, like, stuff had been shuffled around. So, um, certain things had been certain things were gone, and the remainder of the things that were left were spread out. They were basically distributed around the shelf so that they were kind of equidistant, right? To basically try to hide the fact that something was no longer there. And if you were just passing through or just glancing at it, if you really didn't pay attention to the collection, it would be hard to notice, or that like 3 books, that 3 books looks out of place at all. Um, because the size of our shelves and stuff like that. 4 books kind of fits real close on the shelf, but, uh, 3 books, they still fits very nicely, and they space out very nicely on the shelf. So, it was already after midnight at that point. I went and woke my wife up even though she went to bed, she wasn't feeling well. I'm like, "Oh, man, like, can you believe this? Like, can you believe that this happened? Like, this is what happened." So, um, the books that were missing were unfortunately some pretty good ones. We lost an Avengers 1, original 1963. We lost an FF4, like 1961, first appearance of Namor. Um, Giant Size X-Men #1 from like 1975. That's like basically the first appearance of all the new X-Men that people really know, Storm, Colossus, etc. When Wolverine joins the team, it's not his first appearance, but it's basically his like second appearance. um, and then a couple of all of our collection is basically Marvel Silver Age, mostly Marvel Silver Age original major character first appearances. So like Vision, there was a Captain America book. Trying to remember just offhand the across the different shelves, a Spider-Man book, etc. So if you add up the relative value of those comics, about 12 grand, um, missing from the wall that was gone. And so the next day, as we started to realize that this had occurred, we started to kind of look around now, really like sweeping the house, like, "Well, okay, well, if this happened, what else is missing?" And so, we're missing like jewelry, but really jewelry is the other thing that was gone. And unfortunately, like we don't really have expensive. My wife doesn't really have any expensive jewelry and stuff. Um, we're not like a target. I don't think we're a target for any major theft and whatever. But a lot of the pieces that we did have were like sentimental pieces. They were like um, heirloom pieces. So I didn't really my paternal grandparents died when I was much younger. I never really met I never met my grandmother, that grandmother, in any way that I recollect, and I have just very few memories of my grandfather. But my maternal grandparents lived quite a while. My grandma lived into her late 80s. My grandpa lived into his early 90s. And I was very close with them my whole life and all that. My grandmother was she was a jewelry fan. She was a jewelry collector. They did a lot of traveling. They took a lot of cruises, actually. That was kind of their thing after my grandpa retired. They're like whatever, super double diamond, Royal Caribbean, cruise level and all that for all the trips that they took. Um, so she had over her lifetime, and it's not like she had millions of dollars of jewelry or anything. Again, like it's not really about the monetary value, but she had collected a lot of pieces from a lot of different places, and she categorized it all, and she knew where everything came from and like why she had this or where she bought that, and some other pieces, she had also gotten from other family members and stuff like that. Um, and And so before she passed away, or she was starting to be, like, ill in her 80s especially, she started to earmark things for, the kids and whatnot. She, like, broke some pieces up, and so she'd take, like, a bunch of diamonds out of a piece, and she gave, like, she gave, a couple of diamonds to each grandson in order to hold for their daughter if they had one, to make something out of it. It was really like her legacy, like, these items were her legacy, something that she really liked, she really enjoyed. It was her collection, and she, like, very deliberately chose how and to whom these pieces were going to be distributed, and so, we appreciate that. So my wife, who she I'm gonna cry almost here. My wife, who my grandma really, loved, we've been together a long time, of course. She had pieces that she kept and gave to her. She helped, my daughter, I forget how old she was now when my grandma died, but, we were back to Michigan, and they had time to know and appreciate each other, so she held pieces for her as well. So that's the kind of stuff that is, like, largely was taken, and that just really is frustrating and very, disappointing, because, those are things that, my wife and my daughter and maybe even future generations would've, I think, would have appreciated. So, a lot of that stuff, was gone. You could tell that, like, the house was kinda rifled through. I opened some drawers in my desk, and it's like, oh, like, I'm a pretty meticulous person, so you open my drawers in the things that I particularly control. I mean, or just for example, right? You load the dishwasher, you put the forks together, you put the spoons together, everything has its area and its place. It's not chaos. I keep all of my stuff, my things that I have dominion over, I keep that way. And so when I open a drawer and, like, I had a stack of, like, bookmarks or something, and the bookmarks are all distributed all around the drawer. Obviously, I didn't do that. I open that drawer carefully, and I close it carefully so my stack of bookmarks stays stacked. Well, somebody else without care, right, is gonna open that drawer and push it closed, and the bookmarks are gonna move all around. So, yeah, so it's interesting, like, where certain things were taken from. It's interesting how certain things were taken, like, I really have, like, almost no jewelry, but, I did have a ring from my grandfather. When he passed away, I did a lot of helping with his estate, particularly, like, the financial side and the financial dealings, because I was actually helping him, like, manage his money and stuff like that as he was older, and navigated some things like, getting bought out from his pension. um and then the distribution of that money to my mom and her siblings and stuff like that. So they all gave me a ring that he wore a lot. He liked this ring. It was a gold ring, and it had some diamonds and stuff in it. So it was in my drawer. It's not something that I really wore, but I had it. I don't know what I was going to do with it ultimately, because I'm not a super jewelry guy. But, the ring was gone, but the box is there. So it's like, obviously there was an attempt to try to not to, like, there was an attempt, it feels like, to not just, like, take everything, but to try to hide the fact that things were taken. Um, Case in point, obviously, the comic books, right? They could have just taken the entire collection, and I'm not gonna give the dollar amount for what the entire collection would have been worth, but, let's just say they only took a portion of the entire value that's on the wall. And I don't even know what kind of research and stuff they was done, because they didn't take the most expensive books, but they took books that wouldn't stand out, the way that the stuff was adjusted. And so again, it was really not an attempt to take everything. It was an attempt to, like, take things and hide things. So in my drawer where I had the ring from my grandfather, right next to it was the diamonds, and specifically the example I was giving earlier, four small diamonds in a little case, that were part of a piece that my grandma broke up and gave to all the grandsons. I come from a big family. My mom has 5 siblings, and there's a lot of grandkids. I'm the oldest of, like, whatever, I don't even know what the number is now, 20. Just say, like, 22 or something grandkids. Um, and so, like, those diamonds were there, but the ring was not. So, and then a couple of, like, a couple other things were still in my wife's drawers were kind of surprising. It's like, well, if you're going to take that, why wouldn't you take that? It's like, well, is it just because you're hoping that pieces weren't missed or something like that? But again, it was obvious. Like our home was violated, our trust was violated, our privacy was um, ransacked. Um, so it's like I've gone in the last. It's almost a week now. Tomorrow will be a week since we've got home, as we've gone through this. But we contacted the police first thing Wednesday morning, and again, I want to be careful what I say about it. But let's just say that we have our thought. We have a good thought about where or who and how and what and stuff like that. And that's being pursued. um, Whether we'll actually get any of this stuff back and whatever, who knows? There's elements and process and things that have to be kind of walked through as we figure this whole thing out. Um, but there were no electronics taken, so as soon as I saw the comics, I didn't even sleep Tuesday night. Like I was up for a while, um, just kind of reeling, going through the first emotional acceptance of kind of what had happened, and then I would go lay down, and then I'd be like, "Oh, I wonder if this is still there." So then I'd get up and I go look. I think I finally fell asleep at like 4 a.m. or something, and I woke up at whatever 7 for my meetings and whatnot. So that didn't make for a great a great night. But no electronics, so everything is in the rack. Actually, we believe nothing is missing out of the whole storage room. So um, my son was worried that our the start of our memorabilia, like the movie figure collection and stuff, would be gone, but it doesn't look like any of that stuff was gone. It took over the course of a couple of days, we still kind of continued finding things missing, but I think now I think now we I think we should have identified pretty much everything that's gone. Um, so as I said, I've kind of gone through the full spectrum of like I don't know, disbelief to like anger to sadness to like there was even like a day there where it's like man, I really don't want to recollect these comics. Like although doing it with my son and going to the comic shows and stuff like that, of course, it was all fun. But like a couple of the books, aside from their monetary value, obviously that's a decent chunk of change. But um, man, like that we had a Fantastic Four number 5, 1961, first appearance at Namor, 50 CGC, which is a really, really nice, like midish grade, but upper midish grade, white pages. It was a nice book. And like that's just a rare book. That's a hard book to find. Um, a lot of the books that were taken were like high page quality. We had an X-Men 4, which is the first appearance of Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver. 50 white pages. I waited a long time for like a nice looking copy in that grade, white page quality with a good wrap where the cover is nice and square and everything like it's supposed to come up. And it's like, man, the patience that I'm gonna have to have and like going back to like every week looking at auctions and looking at all these sites and tracking sales to be able to find the same books like from a from a sentimental perspective, I'd rather have the jewelry back. Like the comics are replaceable. Like I could just go to eBay right now and find a Fantastic Four number 4 or an X-Men 4 or whatever. The pain will be is if we want to try to replicate the specific grades and quality and stuff that we had these books in. And so I was even so the one night, I don't know what you call like the stages of grief or something, but I was just like in this disassociation stage where it's like I'm just gonna sell the other comic books or like we're gonna cut our collection down to like just a handful of books. Like I don't even want to have this stuff anymore if it's just gonna be like a target for this and this happens again and we have to go through this. But then it's like, no, that's kind of stupid. I for as much enjoyment as I've had the last 2 years getting back into comic collecting and all this stuff with my son, it's like, no, I'm not going to be defeated. I'm not going to let all of the good be defeated by the, by this kind of like stupid event. Um, but so I only hit some of these comments. There's a lot of comments that kind of rolling through as I've been detailing this. Michael, I heard your 900 projector was stolen as well. I wonder if it's yeah, no, it's still there. Boom, it's still there. No electronics. No electronics were missing. Did the Ubiquity cameras help? They did. Well, to some extent. So we have footage. We can corroborate who came. I loved these cameras are amazing. So if you don't, I'll tell this like lessons learned from this experience. If you don't have cameras, get freaking cameras. Cameras on your house. And Major, I told you so. I was advocating for cameras inside, and nobody else in the household, everybody else in the household was like, no, that's creepy. We don't want to have that. We don't want cameras inside. Cameras inside would have taken care of this whole situation. So I held off on any interior cameras, and now those would have been the money cameras because they would have actually prevented the whole thing because it would have been blatantly obvious what was going on, and it would have just never happened to begin with, or we would have had the real footage that we needed to create the evidence for the situation and stuff like that. So yeah, the cameras are really great. Again, I want to be careful because I don't want to talk about what specific evidence and stuff we have, but cameras are great. The other thing that I'll say, lesson learned: get a big fat hard drive as your NVR on your cameras because, like in Ubiquity, cameras only have so many days of retention based on the amount of video that is being constantly streamed and recorded and the relatives and the number of cameras and the relative size of your storage. So with our current camera setup, given the quantity of cameras, the quality, and the amount of storage that we have about 18 days of retention. And so I would have liked to have had more days of retention. More days of retention would have been useful to us um, because of some of the logistics of the timing of our trips and stuff like that. So I will be making some IT changes soon, and this whole situation is kind of driving me forward to do it as well. Um, I'm going to get rid of the Synology. I'm going to get the Unify NAS, and I think I will be getting some bigger hard drives for our camera feeds, as well as likely going ahead with at least one interior camera, um, one or maybe two. I might end up doing two actually. Um, Thinking about where I have the drops and stuff like that. If we would have done the one interior camera, we would have had what we needed. Smoking gun, 100% evidence, all that stuff. Um, so yeah, made it. Yeah, no. Well, I do have an X-Men one. That was not one of the books that was taken. So Avengers one, an Avengers number one was taken. Yeah, so sorry to hear this. Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it, Julius. Yeah, bummer, man. Yeah, it's a pain. Like just such a pain. Frustration, like and I have, like, very little patience or compassion for, like, criminal behavior. Like, I'm very much like, um, all these news stories about, people that get arrested for stuff and the cashless bail thing, and then they turn them back out again, and they commit more crime, and they until they actually do something really heinous. It's just like that stuff that stuff drives me batty. Um, so I am a throw the book at people type of person. I'll probably never be selected for a jury because it's going to be like I'm just like guilty. Yeah, you're here, you did it, you're guilty. Maximum sentence. So we'll see how things go. Jack Herbert, yeah, sad. Also a bit odd they targeted certain items you had. Yeah, well, yeah. So seemed to be a little more towards gold. In the jewelry and then obviously the comic books and stuff, but I don't know. I don't know to what extent there was really knowledge about the value, relative values. But I think actually the books that were taken was a very calculated thing. Um, I think that there was a mix of high and lower value books. There was a book from each shelf because if they would have just taken like a block of books, it would have been very, very clear. Like again, they tried to hide it. They tried to hide it by taking something like taking one quarter of the things off of an area and then moving the other things around to try to cover that up. So they were very smart to basically say like, I'm gonna take a book off of this shelf and then move these. I'm gonna take another one off of this shelf. And in some cases, like the one that they took was more like nondescript. Like on one shelf in particular, on one shelf in particular is our most expensive book. And I'm not going to say what it is or how much it's worth, but I'll just say that it stands out to the other 3 books that are on the same shelf. They didn't take that one because I think it would have stood out more relative to what was left behind. Yeah, dude, this sucks to hear, especially the non-replaceable stuff. So sorry to hear. Seems kind of weird the items they took though. Yeah, almost like yeah. Again, so I would imagine there's a combination of like some research done plus again trying to hide stuff. I don't think. Well, yeah, I gotta be careful about like exactly what type of prior knowledge about what was taken and stuff. But again, we have suspicions about where it went and all that. Yeah, check pawn shops. Yeah, we've given now a complete write up. Obviously, the police had our statement, our testimonial. We've given a complete write up, and we've given a bunch of information about the items that were taken as best we could. We don't have a lot of documentation so much like about the jewelry. So my wife, she'd been going back through like pictures from places where her or our daughter might have been wearing certain of the pieces or something like that, and talking with my mom, it's like, "Oh, do we have any pictures of grandma or grandpa, like, wearing these things so that we could use them for some photo evidence?" But apparently the police are very connected in the pawn market, like, so I don't know the details and stuff, but the officers have talked about, like, they have like, the police departments have a connection to, like, the pawn exchange system. And so I don't know if like pawnbrokers are required to like enter things into the system that they buy, and then the police like can find matches to items or elements. And so, um, if something is a hit, then it like, oh, it kind of like it creates a notification or something in the system, and whatnot. So they've got the pawn thing covered. As best we could, because again, we only had limited photos and stuff, but we did describe, like, text descriptions, complete descriptions of everything that we know is missing, stuff like that. I have pictures of all the comics because I'm meticulous and I do that, and actually, I have separate collectible insurance. So, aside from our homeowners, I maintain a collectible insurance policy on all of that stuff with the dollar value set to be able to cover all of that stuff, and it's very useful if you have, or very valuable if you have valuable collectibles, and especially like comics and stuff where you might be, if I sell something to somebody or I send something in for grading, the insurance policy covers it while it's in the mail, stuff like that. So that's all very useful. So I'm sure no matter what happens in the end, I'll be made whole for the value of the books. Without much trouble. I hope it doesn't like raise my premiums or they drop me or something like that as well. But I expect to be made whole um, um, for the comics, and then I don't know what'll happen with the jury if we never get it back. I believe like the police some big final police report will be generated for all of this, and they'll corroborate and kind of like validate or approve the stuff that was missing, and then I think we can make a homeowner's claim, um, and that they'll use the police report to establish what was gone and the value and whatnot. So we'll see what happens there. Scruffy, who knew you would be away? So I don't want to get into that part at least yet. Um, yeah, Deben, as long as you and the family are okay, yeah, we're fine. So there was no like we were gone. It was we were not home. It's not like it's a midnight home invasion and they had to somebody was like threatening violence and stuff like that. So um, I'm thankful for all of that because there's crazy stuff that happens out there to people, and it's nuts. So yeah, please don't take this as a word of advice, but you and your family can always start, yeah, from everything new. Yep. Yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's a frustrating bummer to lose the heirlooms and stuff. At the end of the day, it's jewelry. So, it having those things was a nice remembrance of my grandmother, and whatnot. But I mean, the comics are comics. There's thousands of issues of those books available. We can get another one. So it'll just be a pain in the PITA to track the books down in the conditions and stuff. that we had them in. That's the pain. That's the pain. Flash contractors from the family room reno. Again, I don't want to comment too much. I will say no. It was that was not the case at all. Um, yeah, I wish you find them. We have our we have our suspicions, and we're acting on them. Were they 4K cameras? Yeah, I think they are. I think I have G5. There's a G. I forget the model number. Ubiquity G5, G4. Um, but I definitely want to put some more cameras up. I want to put one on the upper floor where I would have wanted to have one to begin with. And then I think we don't really have good existing Ethernet drops to put more cameras in too many in other places around the inside of the house. But we have a ton of Ethernet drops in the office, and the office is where the collection is going to stay. So I'm going to probably put a camera in the office, and it's just going to look at the collection. And like that's some of our most expensive stuff, the most targetable stuff, I guess, that's in our household. Maybe I'll put a camera in the storage room as well, pointing at the equipment rack or something, because I did plenty of Ethernet capability in that room, and that's that. You know, obviously that's is more some more expensive stuff as well. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm definitely going to consider this. One of the other things that I've seen people mention, we were talking with our neighbors about this as well, as we went over there and we're chatting with them after we got home. Um, is like a lot of if you don't like cameras inside your house, buy at least put them up when you go away. So this was the other thing that I was trying to tell my wife is like we don't have to have the cameras inside recording all the time. Like we can turn them off when we're just home nominally day to day whatever, and then we turn them on when we leave. And but we still didn't end up acting on installing those um regardless. So that's another way to kind of go about it. But with in Ubiquity, um the other thing that I was thinking of, and I forget what the brand was that the neighbor mentioned, but they talked about, yeah, when they go away, they have a cottage and um in like northern Michigan and stuff, they spend a lot of time there. So when they're away from their home, their primary residence, they put out like a USB, just like a local camera. Like they don't have interior cameras all the time, but they put out like a temporary camera and whatnot. But Ubiquity, I was looking, Ubiquity doesn't really have temporary or like Wi-Fi or battery um, driven cameras because in the Ubiquity environment, it's really meant to be like always on 24/7 um, use and surveillance and stuff. So, Flash, sorry for the stolen sentimental items. Thank you. Keep those memories. Yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. And not everything went. So we still do have a few of the items. We still do have some items that came from my grandma. So we have that at least. Hey, Michael, welcome. Hey, brother. Yeah, one of my patrons just told me you were Rob. Sorry to hear. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you. Yep, 4 terabyte. Yeah, 4 terabyte for 2 weeks. Yeah, we get 18 days with basically four cameras in the Ubiquity environment, and that includes the doorbell cam, which I don't believe is 4K. I think the I think the G's that we used outside are 4K, and I think the doorbell cam, which is like the G4 doorbell. They just launched a brand new doorbell, I think. So we have whatever the version before the most super latest one. Um, but I think that one's like 1080p or whatnot. So gives us 18 days. I actually have two drives. I need to double check this actually too, because we have the Dream Machine SE, which has two bays for the NVR, and I had two extra 4 terabyte hard drives that I wasn't using in the NAS left over way back from when I did the what was that? The U Green. I did a U Green NAS review like a year and a half ago or something. So they sent that with a bunch of 4 terabyte drives in it, and um, so I had extra drives. And when we got the cameras, I'm like, oh, I'll just use these 4 terabyte drives. So I threw them in. But I think when you use two drives, I don't know if I have a choice, but I think they're backups of each other. So there's like a RAID array or something, and uh so we don't have 8 terabyte of recording. We have 4 terabyte of recording kept across two drives in case of a failure. There's they're mirrored is what I think what I'm trying to say. So I don't know if I can change that in the settings. Like, can I get 36 days of retention if those drives are either JBOTted together, or you probably don't want them rated because then if one drive dies, you lose all of your camera history. but I'm curious to find out if, I don't know. I'm gonna look in the settings anyway and see if, see how it works, and I may end up buying some bigger drives. It doesn't hurt to have a beware dog sign in the front door. I actually bought stickers even before we got cameras that basically said like this, uh, this property is under surveillance or whatever that I was going to put on the windows, but I never did. Even as, yeah, gold and silver. Yep. 100%. Like, I mean, it's easy. Gold is at a crazy premium at the moment. So very, very easy to see why people would be taking gold. Julius, I have cameras all around the house. Yep, outside of my house, one in my basement. Yep. Yeah, since this happened to you, I'm getting at least one for the inside. Yep, it would have changed the game. That would have changed the game if we would have had indoor feeds. Um, Not that we don't have some other options to like get evidence and stuff we need, but I think again the indoor cams would have either with certain awareness by et cetera would have just stopped the whole thing because there would have been uh, and it would have been obvious, right? It would have just prevented the whole thing, or we would have had a straight shot. Jeremy used to agree with Mr. Meticulous. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I have the kind of personality where like I walk by the island, and if there's like a book there, I'll move it so that it like lines up with the edges of the island. So I know my stuff, I know my things, I know how I keep them. And yeah. Mike saying, "Really sorry to hear this, Jeremy. Given what you've hinted at, sounds like you may be possible to find the person." Yeah, yeah. We have things moving forward right now. So yeah, this happened to a friend of mine not too long ago. They were able to figure out who it was. Wow, we've actually got everything back. That's nice. The so the police came back, and I don't want to say what they were doing and whatever, but um the on the Wednesday, the like one of the regular officers, I think he's actually like a cybercrime was what his card said and stuff, um, specialist or something. But anyway, he was the responding officer that came and took the initial statements. Then he came back with another person for some specific reasons the next day. Maybe as we get further, this whole thing settles. I'll backfill some of the missing interesting points. But she mentioned that she had a theft uh, some while back or whatever, and then it was like a while later. I forget how long she said, but some pretty extended period of time later. I got to be careful with the clock here too. I have to log off here soon. Um, but anyway, long story short on this, some period of time later, the cops pulled somebody over on the freeway with a car full of stuff. And then they had all this like suspicion about what was in this car. And then that led them to like this house that had like all these things. So like these people were stealing all this stuff and compiling it. And like randomly, like some of her things were there. So it's like, I don't know, it's like this whole black market of funneling stuff through. I don't know, it's wild. I think if we really the mind of a criminal and the and what happens in criminal circles is just like beyond the imagination of any of us that don't perpetrate don't perpetrate these things. Audio degenerate. Yeah, trust is the most difficult thing to replace for sure. Yeah, we had a level of trust absolutely violated. Um, Ubiquiti has the device bridge to connect cameras through Wi-Fi. Interesting. Okay. Do you have an alarm? Yeah, yeah, yeah. The alarm wouldn't have. The alarm didn't make a difference in this case. Pebble, very sorry to hear, Jeremy. Glad everything is safe. Yeah. Do you have any notifications set up? I don't have any. No, I don't have any notifications set up in Protect other than just the doorbell. So if somebody rings the doorbell, I get the notice on my phone, and then I can hit it, pull up the feed and talk to them, stuff like that. Um, I have a bunch of detections, and like I've drawn the zones of interest and all that sort of stuff. Um, but I usually have a habit actually of every once in a while. Uh, Certainly now I know, validating again that within 18 days of retention, probably once, I'd say probably once a week anyway, I pull up the camera feeds and I zoom back in time just to see like, some goofball on our porch at 1 a.m. Didn't do anything, but had no reason to be there. Like, um, it's interesting some of the stuff that you find, like animals in the yard or whatever. But I always go back and look through the recent detections and stuff. I'm straight. Yeah, sorry to hear this news. Thanks, thanks, thanks. James saying painting a bathroom while listening. Want to say I have 5 permanent cameras and 4 that we plug. So yeah, so that's the way I'm learning that a lot of folks go. Is just even for the interiors, put them out, put them up when you're gone, or turn them on when you're gone, whatever it may be. So did they rob all of your home theater equipment? No. So to my knowledge, nothing was missing from an electronics perspective. Um, that certainly we would have known because there's no way that you were getting any of that kind of stuff out of the house, right, without like going through a door and um, yeah, we would have got that on the cams, but all the things that were taken were small-ish. A graded comic book, right, is like 13 inches tall and is it 8 inches wide, I think, and maybe quarter inch thick. So, and it was only, only 7 of them missing. Yeah, Maddie, I think the camera in the storage room facing the rack is a definite, should be easy to install. Yeah, and I have them. I have the cams that I could use. Um, Probably what I'll do, and it doesn't have to look pretty in there. Probably what I'll do is I'll just run an Ethernet line out of the back of the rack, up the wall, and then across a bit, and then put it in there on the ceiling somewhere. I might even be able to just like actually I might even be able to just go up that back wall and just put it right on that back wall. You wouldn't see the front of the rack, but you would see the room and the in the information, and that might even be valuable actually to have a camera on the rack just in case something ever. I think I'm there. We go. Might have been stuttering there for a second. Just to have that on the rack anyway to be able to see your equipment and gear. I know some other guys that do that. Michael, his property is protected. Yeah, by a Glock. Yeah, yes. Yeah. Overall sensor detection would be great. Phase to Techthusiasm home upgrade. Yeah, namely Ubiquity products. Overall sensor detection. Not sure. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like in the cams or like other Ubiquity pieces. Are you recommending? Luckiest Stiff. The Dream Machine Pro uses RAID 1. Yeah, when you add a second drive, mirroring, yep, which duplicates the data, so the data survives. The thing I was wondering is that an option? Can you change that to be like a JBOD combined array, or I believe it's only RAID 1. I don't think you can actually choose. So if I buy a bigger drive, then I either need to pop them both out, or I need to get 2 drives of the bigger size. Yeah, we're wrapping up here in a minute. I just want to hit through these last comments. If HG Gear was taken, you could upgrade. I don't have much to upgrade to. Um, although it's funny actually, because it's like, I wonder if these cops, you have to think like they probably checked us out, right? They've looked at us like, is this like fraud? Because it seems so crazy. Like, oh look, I'm missing my stuff, and my things were rearranged or whatever. Um, it's like to some level of initial suspicion, they have to think about fraud because so many people are criminals and lying and stuff anyway. And it's like, so as I was talking about it with my son, and it's like, you know what? Like, dude, like they took the wrong books. Excuse me. It's like, man, they took the wrong books because there are a couple books that we were looking to kind of sell or change in the collection. And if we sell them, then they got to go to auction or something, and there's like a 10% or 15% commission that we got to pay, or you put them on eBay, it's 13% cost. It's like, man, if they would have taken those books, we would have gotten reimbursed for them, rightfully so, for the value, but maybe we didn't buy the same books again. Or there were some books as well where we have like a Daredevil one, First Appearance of Daredevil, etc., 1964 or whatever. But we bought that one earlier in our collection, and so it's a little lower grade than what we would ultimately like. We have a 3.0, I think, and I really like to have like a 5.0, particularly like a 5.0 White Pages copy if we see one come up, and it's like, "Oh, they didn't take the Daredevil one." Like, so if certain books would have gone away, it would have made it easy. We would have gotten the insurance money, and we would have probably spent a little more money, and we would have bought a higher grade copy replacement of the book. But like almost everything that's gone are like books that we spent meticulous amount of time trying to get in certain grades, and we wouldn't have wanted to upgrade. was like, man, dang it. The only one I think we will go for a higher grade Avengers one. That's definitely a book that we would want to replace for sure. um, and the one we had, I think was a 4.5, and I like 5.0. Like I just want all the books 5.0 or 8.0 is like the grades that we tend to go after. So it's like, well, I guess now we've got a chance to we'll get a little nicer Avengers one when we replace it, even if we have to put a little money in um, to buy up after the insurance money comes in. But as we were as we contemplate, like, oh, are we going to cut the collection down? Because we've got some other big changes planned for the office. Actually, as I've alluded to, we got to spend a whole video set or live stream talking about the memorabilia stuff, sideshow collectibles, and new business things that we're launching, things like that. Um, but we may have reduced the comic collection a little bit anyway because some of the display space is going to go to 6 scale collectible figures and stuff like that. Um, and it's like, man, um, no matter how we cut it, a variety of the books that are missing are like ones that we wanted even in a reduced collection. So it's like, geez. So if I was doing fraud, I would have made different books disappear than the ones that disappeared. Is long story short of what I was saying with that. Mike saying I have had some folks coming to the house to pick up free next door giveaways. I've been surprised at the detection stuff on the Unify. It has not been 100%. Like one camera recorded an event, but not another. Interesting. I think ours has been pretty good, but I guess you never know kind of what you don't know. Because if you try to just scroll through time, it's very easy to miss in an event that it should have picked up. I found so far that I've been pretty happy with the detections, and what it flags and the length of time that it flags and stuff like that. And on our porch, we have 2 camera views on the porch because we have a porch upper cam and then we have the doorbell cam. And usually and I don't think I've seen a case where like one hit and the other one didn't. So they're pretty corroboratable, I guess, in that respect. Deben is not just cams, motion detection. Okay, yeah, I gotcha. Srin, yeah, look, we have an alarm system. An alarm system would not, or the fact that we have an alarm system would not have, it did not play a role in kind of what happened and the way things went down. All right, there was one question. I want to hit this one as well. If you're still here, Outpost 3178 just purchased a Strato E, an 8 terabyte SSD server. Very pleased overall with tonight. I watched John Wick 2, approximately 11 minutes, had audio dropout. Should I set bandwidth to 13? I would not drop the bandwidth per se, I guess, unless you really suspect something else. Um, Audio dropouts, I'd make sure everything is up to date. I would do maybe a reset and a reseating of your HDMI cables. Um, but we'd have to get into more diagnostics as well, like what's the audio equipment, what are you connected to, stuff like that. But do some of those basic troubleshooting aspects, certainly as a start. All right, it's 6:18. I think the family is home. It's dinner time. I've actually got somebody coming to pick up. I sold I upgraded all of our Nintendo controllers to the new Switch 2 Pro controllers, which are very nice, by the way. So I think somebody is coming to buy and pick up our remaining Switch 1 Pro controllers. Need to be ready for that, and then do some family time and stuff tonight. So I'd say it's a fun hangout. The topic is not fun, but I appreciate the big load of folks that are tuning in to kind of listen to me vent, listening to me vent. Um, and yeah, hopefully take some lessons learned from what we're talking about. That's as I make some other content about this to come. I'll probably make some specifically edited videos. It might be a little while before I do those, just because again, there's kind of ongoing activities and stuff around this. Once everything settles, though, if my experience can help some other folks think about how to protect yourselves or whatnot, that will I'd like to share that information, I guess. So we'll see where that goes. In other real quick news and other things, I do have back to making some content. So there's a video, Apple TV, tvOS 26.2 new feature video with the profiles. I think that's coming out tomorrow. I'll do the regular This Week in Kaleidoscape video as well. Hopefully, get back on track for that being Wednesday morning. Obviously, vacation. I never missed a This Week in. We missed the last two live streams, but I never missed a This Week in Kaleidoscape. I actually made one on the ship and then uploaded it over the course of like 6 hours um, on the ship's Wi-Fi on one of the at sea days, and then I was able to do the other Kaleidoscape video just after we got back. But we'll get back to that. I as soon as we got to clean some more stuff up around the house. We still have some Christmas decor and things out. My wife got sick. She caught something the last day of the cruise, so she's been ailing since we've been back. We've just been laying low. We haven't done all the household things we need to do, but I will be filming a new living room tour. The last living room tour was 2023, I think. And now, of course, with the upgrades and stuff that are in there, I want to get that knocked out. It's a little bit late for like best of 2025 stuff, but I've had the idea. I've been wanting to do the video of like ranking my 2025 upgrades from like most impactful to least impactful, or like favorite to least favorite, or something like that. So I want to film that, get that up. And then we'll see where we go. There's still other stuff that I need to do. I want to get this JVC firmware updated, still get the UPS installed on that thing. I've been remiss to take care of that for a while here. I don't know if I'm going to end up making any 9K videos. Probably still will. Like show the menu system, some of the stuff that I like to show off about equipment or whatever. So yeah, lots still in the fire. Folks have content ideas, stuff that you're eager to hear about or know about or learn about. Feel free to leave some comments and stuff, and let me know. And then we'll be springing forward into all kinds of other stuff to come. We'll see where the 2026 TV thing goes. I'm going to pick up this Unify NAS here, I think sooner than later. Start working on some better improved IT infrastructure and personal protection capabilities around the house. And I still have some other brand things going on, some upgrades coming. I've got a bunch of folks that I'm talking to about systems right now. And the way with the way things are lined up right now, I'm going to be actually this Sunday. Hopefully everything goes right with it, and I'll be doing like an acoustically transparent screen install and setup for one of the regulars, one of the folks that's often here on the live streams and whatnot. But I'm hoping to really get some cool content this year out of like upgrades and to people's systems and new theater builds and stuff like that. So much exciting stuff on the line. We still got to even launch and talk about the memorabilia, collectible stuff. I am now set up as a wholesaler, basically with Sideshow Collectibles, and can offer all kinds of this stuff, all kinds of that stuff. My son and I were going to be doing a lot. So you're going to see some different content coming as we go forward. I've been doing the newsletters. I've issued 2 of them now. Hopefully they're useful. I try to do a little sharing and use it for announcements and promotions and stuff like that. So if you'd like to sign up for the Techthusiasm newsletter, you can do that on the webpage, techthusiasm.com. There's a sign up form there. Please do appreciate that. And been doing a lot of work on the webpage. I have some really big plans for the website. We'll see how far I'm able to take them and what exactly we're able to do, but more on that in hopefully the weeks, and just in the weeks ahead anyway. I need to talk with some folks and talk with some brands, and we'll see what transpires on the webpage. But I really want to expand the webpage, make it a little more gear focused, store focused, and stuff like that. So it's been fun. Got my kids working on stuff in the background. So a lot of irons in the fire, a lot of fun being had. And yeah, I appreciate all of it. Appreciate all of you. Thank you for all of the well wishes and the messages of sympathy and support and all of that. But yeah, thankfully we're healthy. We're fine. No violent crime, none of that. Just had some of our stuff nicked in a frustrating and disappointing way. So at the end of the day, again, I think we'll be made whole one way or another. And we'll make some changes, process and structural changes as a result of this, to be better protected for the future. So, all right, last couple comments, we'll call it a day here. Thanks. I hope you get everything back. Yeah, we'll see. It's going to be seeing this whole process through. It's going to be interesting. Maddie, yeah, we need to cover 25 versus 2026 TVs next time, maybe. And I'd still like to see some 9K coverage, especially upscaling and motion. plus dark scene detail, star scene, etc. Yeah, I'll think about how to do that. If I'm going to do it, I need to do it soon because every day that goes by, like that content becomes a little bit less, probably a little less valuable, given the new models and stuff, especially since TCL just just dropped the bomb with the 11L series, totally out of unexpected nowhere. So thanks everybody for coming out. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for hanging out. Again, if I can help you with any of your stuff, please reach out, Jeremy at techthusiasm.net, or just go to the webpage. Contact form is there. um, we've added per listen, and I've got even more brands that I have access to, but I haven't really announced or launched them yet, just because I'm not familiar with everything, and I'm not sure which ones may really be more attractive to like my audience and community and stuff like that. Some may be more than others. Um, but yeah, big things coming. So if I can help anybody with anything, please do get in touch and use the affiliates and all that stuff. Always super much appreciated. All right, coming back for more home theater discussion, life happening discussion, I guess, and fun. Thanks, everyone.